So I had just made a Harry Potter video, I don't know, a week ago, give or take. And that video, it was about how HBO was standing by J.K. Rowling and her right to express her views. And I gave my opinion on the upcoming Harry Potter TV series that's going to be coming out in 2026. And my opinion essentially was that I was pretty interested in seeing how Harry Potter would work out as a TV show where you have a lot more screen time, a lot more wiggle room to be faithful to the books in a way that the movies could not. And I thought that the show had the potential to be a huge success if they do a couple of things. Those things being essentially, number one, they stick to the books to a T. And number two, if they keep any real world messages out of it, if they keep any political messages from current day out of the show. I thought if they do those two things, this show succeeds. Well, not too long later, we get this headline right here, and this is from The Hollywood Reporter. Papa Siyadu eyed to play Severus Snape in HBO's Harry Potter TV show. The British I May Destroy You actor is being played for a fan favorite role in the eagerly anticipated fantasy series. And I'd say this is causing a little bit of controversy because if this is true, then, well, I guess they're going to be race swapping Severus Snape. Alright, I'll read just a little bit of this article. I'm not going to read the entire thing. Sectum Sempra, HBO is circling British actor Papa Siyadu to play one of the hottest TV roles being cast this year. The I May Destroy You actor is up for the role of Severus Snape in HBO's Harry Potter TV series, multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. Sources say the actor has been offered the part, although it is not clear if negotiations have begun in earnest. So he hasn't been officially cast yet. I have to say that. Right now, this is just a report that HBO is reportedly eyeing Papa Siyadu to play Snape. According to this article from The Hollywood Reporter, there are multiple sources saying this, and they're saying that the actor has been offered the role. And I'll skip ahead in the article. If Siyadu lands the role, it will also be an example of HBO following through on its promise that the series would have a diverse cast. The films were sometimes criticized for having an entirely white core cast. Are you sure about that? Entirely white core cast, and will presumably lead to a rather fresh take on the character. Fresh take, that's a term that these people today like to use. Okay, so let me just sum up why people have issues with this casting if it does in fact happen. Now let me start by saying that Papa Siyadu, I have not seen any of his work. He might be a very, very good actor. None of what I'm about to say is a criticism against him. If HBO offers him the role and he takes it, I'm not going to fault him for that. Here's the issue that a lot of people have. So I have the first Harry Potter book with me right now, and I'm just going to read you a description of Snape from the book. This is from Chapter 7, The Sorting Hat, page 126. Harry, who was starting to feel warm and sleepy, looked up at the high table again. Hagrid was drinking deeply from his goblet. Professor McGonagall was talking to Professor Dumbledore. Professor Quirrell, in his absurd turban, was talking to a teacher with greasy black hair, a hook-nosed and sallow skin. It happened very suddenly. The hook-nosed teacher looked past Quirrell's turban, straight into Harry's eyes, and a sharp hot pain shot across the scar on Harry's forehead. But the description of Snape here is a teacher with greasy black hair, a hook nose, and specifically sallow skin. Now, if I look up the definition of sallow skin or how it's defined, it says right here, paleness or yellowing of your natural complexion. Sallow skin appears as a paleness or yellowing of your natural complexion, usually on the face. Possible causes of sallow skin include anemia, vitamin deficiency, and a variety of lifestyle habits such as smoking and poor diet. Specifically though, paleness. And if you go to the Half-Blood Prince book, book number 6, the chapter The Flight of the Prince right after Snape kills Dumbledore, we have this illustration of Snape right here. Now those of you that would defend this choice of casting, I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to call me and anybody else who criticizes this decision Rossicist. You're going to say that we're all bigots. You're going to say something along the lines of, I don't get what the big deal is. These are just fictional characters. And for those of you that would say that, let me ask you just a couple of questions here. Would you have had a problem if they cast a white guy as Black Panther? And the answer to that is, of course, yes, you would have a problem with that. And why would you have a problem with that? Well, because Black Panther was not a white guy. So it wouldn't make sense to cast a white guy. So yeah, you'd have a problem with that, and you'd rightly have a problem with it. I'd have a problem with it too, because it wouldn't make any sense. They're making an adaptation for the Ghost of Tsushima game. I haven't heard anything about it in a while, but I'm looking forward to it. At least right now I'm looking forward to it. But that game takes place in Japan. It's based on Japanese culture. Do you think it would make sense to cast a white guy in that movie? Because I don't think it would. Blade. When making the Blade movies, do you think it would have made any sense to cast a white guy as Blade, rather than Wesley Snipes? No, I don't think it would have made any sense, because Blade in the comics, he was a black person. So casting a white guy as Blade would not be accurate. So they cast Wesley Snipes for the role. Perfect choice if you ask me. And by all that same logic, Snape in the books is described as having sallow skin. If you look at artwork for Severus Snape, if you look at the description for Snape in the books, Snape, he's a white person. And so this casting choice, if they follow it, it doesn't make sense. By the same logic that casting a white guy as Black Panther makes no sense, casting a white guy as Blade makes no sense, and so on and so forth. And that's the issue that people have with this. It's that it's the latest example of a character being race swapped, and this is a common game that Hollywood is playing nowadays. They announce they're going to make an adaptation of a story, whether it be in the form of a TV show or a movie or a series of movies. Then they take a character or a couple of characters, usually white people, usually white men, and then they either race swap them or they gender swap them in order to make the show reflect the world we live in today, or make the movie reflect the world we live in today, to make it more diverse and groundbreaking and stuff like that. And then they sit back and they wait till fans look at the casting choices, and then the fans accurately point out that the people being cast do not match the character descriptions. And then the people in Hollywood and the people in the access media, they pounce on that and they start calling the fans racist. They call the fans toxic and a bunch of other names like that. And in fact, it's already happening here. This is from Newsweek. Black actor rumored for Severus Snape role faces right-wing backlash. And as I said before, the person they're rumored to be casting, Papa Asidu, I don't have a problem with him. If he takes this role, he's really just taking a role that's offered to him. I'm not going to fault him for that. The issue here is bigger picture. The issue here is with Hollywood and Hollywood studios, where from what we see, they seem to have an obsession with race-swapping characters. They care more about DEI than actually being accurate to the books. And when fans point out that this casting choice, if it ends up happening, does not match the character description of Snape in the books, those fans, they get called racist for that. So the report right now is that this guy's been eyed for the role of Snape, that he's been offered the role. Nothing's been confirmed. Nothing's official, so I don't want to get too ahead of things yet. But again, based on Snape's description, this casting choice, it would not make sense. And that is nothing against Papa Asidu. If they offer him the role, I'm not going to fault him for taking it. But for the same reason that it wouldn't make logical sense to cast a white guy as Black Panther, this casting choice, a lot of us Harry Potter fans, we don't think it makes sense either. And the other comment I'll make here is that J.K. Rowling's heavily involved in this show, and she has said that the integrity of the books is very, very important to her, which, based on this report here, if true, then I don't know if that's going to be the case, that they're going to be really following the integrity of the books. And my view on this show was, I thought it could be really good. You know, I have a lot of optimism that it could be good, but it has to be cautious optimism because Hollywood, they have a track record for botching basically every adaptation they make now. And it's looking like the botching of Harry Potter is now starting. Goodbye, everyone.